Hello everyone, this is Advocate Garbijan. Welcome to LawPutra YouTube channel. Today we will explore a crucial legal principle that is the doctrine of severability. We will unravel the complexities surrounding this doctrine and its impact on legal agreements and statutes. The doctrine of severability is a legal concept that deals with the question of whether a law or contract can remain valid even if parts of it are found to be invalid or unenforceable. Let us dive into understand its significance. Originating from contract law, the doctrine of severability has found its way into constitutional and statutory interpretation. It is based on the idea that courts should preserve a valid portion of agreements or laws when some parts are deemed invalid. There are three key components to the doctrine of severability. First one is severability clauses, second legislative intent, and third one is judicial review. Severability clauses are contractual provisions that explicitly state the intent to preserve the valid part of an agreement if some portions are found unenforceable. What is severability clauses? Severability clauses act as a contractual safety net, allowing parties to salvage their agreement even if certain clauses are deemed void. Courts generally respect these clauses, but their effectiveness depends on clarity and adherence to legal principles. Now, what is legislative intent? Legislative intent plays a crucial role in statutory interpretation. When crafting laws, legislator may include severability clauses or express their intent regarding the survival of the law's validity if certain sections are challenged. Now, what is judicial review? Courts often engage into a two-step process during judicial review. First, they determine the validity of the contested provision. Second, if found invalid, then decide whether the remainder of the contract or law can stand independently. Let us explore a couple of landmark cases that highlight the doctrine of severability in action, demonstrating its impact on various legal contexts. It's versus Booker. Background of the case is centered around the federal sentencing guidelines, which were mandatory at the time. The court held that the mandatory nature of these guidelines violated the Sixth Amendment. Yes, right to a jury trial because judges rather than juries were making factual determinations that increased sentences. The Supreme Court, in a remedy phase following its initial decision, opted to sever the provision, making the guidelines mandatory. This allowed the remaining advisory guidelines to stand, providing judges with discretion in sentencing. The court aimed to salvage a workable sentencing framework while remedying the constitutional defect. Second case was Ayotte versus Planned Parenthood. Background of the case involved a New Hampshire law requiring parental notification before a minor could obtain an abortion. The law lacked an exception allowing for an abortion to protect the health of the mother. Then the Supreme Court determined that the lack of a health exception rendered the law unconstitutional. However, instead of striking down the entire law, the court applied severability. The majority opinion suggested that the law could be served, keeping the parental notification requirement while allowing for a judicial bypass procedure to protect the health of the mother. This approach aimed to balance the state's interest in parental involvement with the need to safeguard the health of the pregnant minor. In both cases, the doctrine of severability was employed to preserve as much as possible the constitutionally sound elements of the laws in question while exercising the problematic portions. This reflects a judicial balancing act to maintain legislative intent within constitutional bounds. Now, we will talk about practical applications of this doctrine, from business contracts to constitutional challenges. The doctrine of severability influences a wide array of legal scenarios. Understanding its application is crucial for lawyers, policymakers, and anyone involved in drafting or interpreting legal documents. While the doctrine of severability serves a vital role, it's not without its critics. Some argue it can be misused to uphold unfair agreements, while others question its application in complex legal frameworks. As legal landscapes evolve, so does the doctrine of severability. Future trends might see increased emphasis on clear drafting, advanced AI tools aiding in legal analysis, and potential legal reforms addressing the doctrine's challenges. Let us discuss few more cases. A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras. The Supreme Court ruled that if the challenged act violates the Constitution, only the section that violates the Constitution would be unconstitutional, not the entire act, and that every effort should be taken to salvage as much of the act as possible. It is severable if the invalid part's deletion does not affect the essence or structure of the legislature's goal. Another judgment, State of Bombay versus F.L. Balsara, concluded that the portion of the Bombay Prohibition Statute 1949 that were deemed invalid and unconstitutional did not undermine the legality and goals of the entire act. As a result, there was no need to declare the entire act invalid. Minerva Mills versus Union of India 1980. The Supreme Court of India struck down Section 4 and 55 of 42nd Amendment Act 1976. In the case of Minerva Mills versus Union of India, the court stated that certain portions were beyond the jurisdiction of the legislature to change. The other act remained in effect. The doctrine of severability helps to protect pre-constitutional law. In order to check the validity of laws passed before the commencement of Indian Constitution and after the Indian Constitution came to being, the doctrine of severability and eclipse plays an important role. In conclusion, the doctrine of severability is a cornerstone of a legal interpretation, providing a framework for salvaging agreements and laws in the face of challenges. Its application requires a careful balance between preserving valid provisions and upholding the principles of justice. Thank you for watching.